What happens when someone who loves words, writing, and ideas finds out they can't actually say what they mean out loud? So the spiritual and emotional shock of discovering you're deeply impacted by something like a speech impediment, despite a lifelong connection to ideas and words and communication, it can be damaging. I realized that I experience prolongations and blocks, which is a specific occurrence in speech impediments. I knew that I struggled to speak sometimes, but I thought that it was just me being awkward. I didn't realize how deeply it was impacting me until I started trying to use my voice, and it didn't work. There were moments in school, particularly when I took public speaking in fall 2019, where I started off and things were going okay. There was always some awkwardness, but by the middle of that semester, I had a complete nervous breakdown. I realized just how much I was struggling with getting my ideas from inside of me or on paper out into the world, out in front of an audience, even a small audience, just a classroom, or even into a camera. It was frustrating, to say the least. It was hurtful. I can write so fluently. I love metaphors, and I love creating imagery with words. I love to use unique words. As a child, I was often complimented on what a strong vocabulary I have and how great my articulation was. I was part of the GATE program, which I probably touch on in another video. But in my 30s, I realized that I was having difficulty with even the most basic words slipping away from me, and it hurt. So when I started my healing journey, breaking away from other trauma experiences and breaking chains about multi-generational impacts and things that I need to overcome, I had to confront ways that I had actually been taught to stay silent, and how I was taught to speak about certain things but not about other things, and especially not about things that hurt the most, things that I felt most strongly about, things that I highly valued even. It just wasn't appropriate to talk about those things, or it wasn't accepted to talk about those things. And I realized then, as I was beginning to do that work, that what I am experiencing is not just neurological, it's also emotional, energetic, and spiritual. That having a combination of a neurodiversity, which I know is how I was born, and then experiencing traumas that involved silencing and being punished for speaking out, created just this compound effect that has resulted in a communication disorder. It even manifested as physical illness. So I had to learn ways, and I'm continuing to learn ways specifically to heal that, because the connection with throat chakra damage was realized, and I started working through that. So this is something I have explored more deeply in another video on throat chakra injury and silencing, and how you can heal that, and I will link those in another video if you're curious. At that time, I was going to school for sociology, and I realized something else. The question became, or how can it be so hard for someone so drawn to it? And this led me to why I chose to study communications for my bachelor's degree. And in the next video, I will share how all of this, my love for writings, my speech struggles, the silence from trauma, led me to choose communications as my major. If you want to hear more, or if you're on your own path of reclaiming your voice, feel free to subscribe, and I'd love to have you here while I figure this out loud. Much love. Until next time.